I come to you and I say, I felt really bad about this. And your response was, well, you looked like that.
You never want to say something that is going to hurt your partner in a deep way.
Unless that's the goal.
Yeah, and in that case, you're spending time.
Yeah. Oh, she loves spending time.
She loves spending time.
Which is why I moved away from her. Hello, I'm Brian.
And I'm Shannon.
And together we make
a load of BS. Your weekly dose of relationship advice.
Plus a side of venting and ranting.
Maybe.
And plenty of other nonsense, probably.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Shannon.
Brian.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to the pod. Oh. Episode 1. For those of you who saw last week's episode, thank you. That was episode 0. That was testing the waters. Mm-hmm. Getting comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is episode 1. What is on the topic for today? What are we talking about today?
Communication.
I heard a quote the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Communication is to relationships what breath is to life.
What?
Which is to say, you can't have one without the other.
Okay. Where'd you hear that?
On the Googles.
On the Google. On all the Twitters.
All the Twitters. All the Googles. But yeah, we'll just jump right into it. The reason why we have this podcast is because I think that we're experts at the whole relationship thing. Despite the fact that we did the long distance. We did
long distance for 5 years.
Yeah, that was
wow. And then we moved in together and got engaged and married, and here we are.
Best
friends.
We did the relationship on hard mode because we had to do it long distance.
We did.
Yeah. But through doing long distance, I feel like we really nailed down communication.
I think it brought us together. Closer.
Because we're connected.
Yeah.
So, I have a fun little bowl filled with little questions about communication. And we're just going to dive right in, start answering questions.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great. Brian is the organized one. So
I don't know about that one. I feel like I have an organized mess.
I'm feeling really good because you put a lot of work into it.
I try my best.
Yeah.
For you. All right.
Well,
I'm just going to go in.
Go for it.
First
Hit us
question.
with it.
How to navigate differences in communication?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, there are definitely many different forms of communication. I think as being long distance, one of the things we had to just figure out real quick was that compromise had to be something that happened all the time. And we couldn't really, since we were FaceTiming most of the time, it wasn't like arguing was a possibility.
No.
And so it was pretty much just, hey, we need to talk this through, because if we don't, then we
were either gonna
sink or swim.
Yeah. Being thrown into long distance, we were either going to figure it out or not, and we were going to learn real quickly which one was which.
Yeah.
I think that one of the big things about the different forms of communication is that, like, there's a lot of people who really like talking, and there's a lot of people who really like listening.
I like talking.
I think that we make a really good team because one of us really likes talking and the other really likes listening.
Yeah.
And not only that, but also like for us at least, we had a like scheduled time where typically it was like after dinner, like in the evening time.
Yeah.
We were going to FaceTime, and that was it. That was going to be our time.
Yeah.
Now obviously life finds a way. Like there were nights where I went out with my friends or you went out with yours, and we didn't have an opportunity to, but like I feel like for any couple, finding that time to just like decompress and talk at one point in the day, that's really important.
Yeah, I agree with that. There were definitely super difficult times, especially with like a couple years in, we had the wildfires that devastated California, and then we had the pandemic, and then
now we're dealing with the floods.
And then, fortunately, we're living together now, and with the floods, that is happening, but we're together, and so, but yeah, there were a lot of different times where we just weren't able to talk as much as we used to, and that was super difficult. But because we communicated about it and like the times that we could actually talk, then that's really how we made it through. I would say.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the next question?
I'm ready.
All right.
Okay.
Hit it. Hit me up.
Hit you with it. Okay. How to deal with a partner who doesn't listen.
Ooh, I have a really good answer for this.
Okay.
Okay? How do you deal with a partner who doesn't listen? You don't. Period. Full stop.
Right there.
No. I've never had the issue with you, obviously.
No.
But like, I've had previous relationships where you could talk about your feelings and you could say exactly how you feel about their actions or their behavior, and it just goes in one ear right out the other, and they don't listen. Right. And I feel like that's really like a make or break. That's like a break. You either start listening to your partner or you don't have a partner anymore, because I don't think a relationship can operate like that for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. That's why we're not with those partners anymore. Yeah, they're not a good partner if they don't listen to you. Yeah, if they're the only ones talking and you only have the chance to listen, then I mean, if that works for you, I'm good on ya. But I haven't seen a relationship that actually worked out with someone who just talked and didn't listen whatsoever.
And I think that that's like one of the key things too, because you are a talker and I am a listener.
Yeah.
But like, you still listen to me and I still talk. Like,
yeah.
That's like the important thing, that you as a partners come together and figure it out.
I think there's days where like sometimes I'll be more quiet and then you'll be more talkative, and then same thing. But ultimately I'm more of the extrovert and you're a little bit more introverted. Yeah. And that's why I'm a little bit more of the talker.
Yeah. All right.
In our relation.
Are you ready for the next?
I'm ready.
Next one. Okay. Okay. Ooh. How to establish boundaries. How do you establish boundaries?
Thank you. How do I establish boundaries? Well, first you need to communicate that.
Yeah.
And then share the importance of it, and see if your partner respects it. because, once you've communicated it, you've figured out what each other's boundaries are, then figuring, trying it out and seeing if they're actually willing to go along with it and be supportive of it. It's really I would say you just kind of have to try it and trust that they'll do that with you.
Yeah, it's
a team effort.
It is a team effort because you are a team. You're a team. You're working together.
Yeah.
And to succeed as a team, you kind of have to trust each other. And a part of that is establishing boundaries. I know that my jokes can get a little too, sometimes I can tease a little bit too much, but I think that it's always really important that you say, hey, Brian, don't joke about that. And okay, that's it. I think that boundaries need to be established very clearly. Hey, I'm okay with this, but not that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could joke about my height, but stop joking about X, Y, or Z. And I joke about your height a lot.
Yeah.
To be fair, you are 4'11".
Yeah, I'm 5'1", just so that everyone knows.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you're 4'11" on a good day.
What's something that really bothers him is a lot of people call him Clark Kent. So I used to...
That would be a boundary. Yeah.
That would be a boundary. We figured that out pretty early on because he used to not have the facial hair. And then you'd have glasses. You have glasses.
Yeah.
But then when I first met him, we were working in a grocery store, so he had his glasses on, his hair slicked back, completely clean shaven, and 100% looked like Clark Kent. And so everyone would call him Clark Kent. And then when we started dating, then it was super clear he absolutely disliked it. I don't even know, from the depths of
so
the deep blue sea. And so
to be fair, it wasn't that the joke itself frustrated me. I was at first very flattered. And then after the first week of being called that 10 times a day, I was mildly annoyed. And then after a month of that joke constantly being told to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. So yeah, that was a boundary that I was like, hey,
don't call me that. And then I never called him that.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I love about us, though, is that we're very open and honest with each other.
Yeah.
And we understand that if you come to me with a boundary, I know that you're doing that from a well-intentioned place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people when they hear hey man, I don't want you to joke about this or that, or hey man, this is a boundary. A lot of people are a little sensitive about that and oh, you're presenting your boundary to me? I didn't know that. Yeah, how dare... Yeah, I'm not an asshole.
You're communicating it to me for the first time ever?
Hey.
How dare you?
I didn't know that was your boundary. I'm not an asshole here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When they're presented with someone else's boundary, they think that they're being called an asshole.
Yeah.
But I think that that's something that's really important to remember. When someone's communicating a boundary to you, that's not something that you intentionally crossed out of malicious intentions. That's something that you might have crossed that boundary on accident, but now that you know the boundary, you could have that firmly in your mind, okay, that's that.
Yeah. And it was still something we had to learn from each other.
Exactly.
Because in past relationships for me, that was not communicated. And then Brian is such an upfront guy. And so keeping it in was not an option. And he would not let it be an option whatsoever.
And that's another thing, too. When someone is giving you a boundary, don't think that, like, you're being called an asshole. But also, you shouldn't think that you're an asshole just because you're giving a boundary. Right. Like, a boundary is something that, like, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this. Mm-hmm. You should have that boundary. That should be respected.
Yeah.
And, like, some people are a little timid. Some people don't want to, like, say, hey, please don't joke around about that or don't do that because...
Well, they don't want to start conflict.
Yeah.
And maybe they think that there will be conflict if they bring it forward. But you're not with the right person if they're going to make you feel bad about yourself.
Exactly.
Don't do it.
And if you don't present your boundary up front and other people don't know that's a boundary you have, then people are going to cross that boundary a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like that was a good question.
That was a really good question.
I feel like we did really good on that.
We did. We did.
Work. All right, your turn.
Oh, how to not hurt your partner's feelings.
Oh, on the subject.
On the subject. I feel like we kind of just went over that.
I feel like we did. Just to clarify, how not to hurt your partner's feelings. If your partner presents a boundary, a really good way to not hurt their feelings is don't cross that boundary.
Talk about it. Talk about what makes you upset.
Yeah. And
what makes you really happy. And then there won't be a problem. Because then if your partner respects it, then you're going to be good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, at the same time, it's possible that in the heat of the moment, someone might know that that's where you tie up your goat and then cross it. But that being said, not a very good partner if they do that.
Yeah.
And use that to their advantage.
I think when a conversation gets that heated, that conversation needs to stop. I think that you guys need to
take a step back.
Take a nice little minute, chill out.
Yeah.
Get some water, get something. And I think that another thing to remember is how not to hurt your partner's feelings. It's not just about not being mean, but it's also about like being nice too. So for instance, like, oh, I'm not crossing any of Shannon's boundaries today. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. But like, you could come to me to talk about like your day or something, and I could just be going, and I could just be looking at my phone the whole time, and that'd be an asshole move of me.
It would be a really asshole move.
Yeah.
But one thing I feel like I do pretty well is if you're ever doing that, I just tell you, hey, give me attention. Or listen to me.
You do a really good job at that. But I also feel like we do a good job at listening to each other, so we don't have to do that very often.
Yeah. Well, like after work, I come home, I want to talk to my best friend.
Yeah. Which
is you.
And a conversation is a two-way street.
Right. Like, I want to know about your day.
Yeah. And I want to know about yours. So I think I feel like that was a pretty good answer.
Yeah.
We ready for the next one?
We're ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Next question. Ooh, how to use I statements. I know exactly how to do this, Shannon.
I know exactly how to do this.
No, so for those of you who don't know, a really good instance is if Shannon is sitting there calling me fat, which she does a lot.
What? Okay, first we need to scratch that.
We filmed episode 0 last week, and and just to like get a feel of how to do a podcast. And from that film, I was able to make a couple of TikToks and YouTube shorts and stuff. I made 5 of them, one for every day, that were not like.
You made me look
posted.
so bad. Like such a terrible partner.
All of the TikToks are actually doing like pretty well numbers, like 50, 60, 70 views. There's one short that's got up to like 500 views.
Within like 24 hours.
Shannon misspoke and said that I used to weigh a couple hundred more pounds.
Look, okay.
In a situation, obviously, like, Shannon misspoke. I'm not gonna hold it to it. But in a situation like that, if your partner jokes and says something about you that you don't like, there are 2 ways to navigate that and confronting your partner. You could say, "Hey, you did something mean to me. You were mean." That is very bad. That's a very bad way of communicating, because that's blaming your partner for something that they might not have known that was a boundary. Or in that case, it was like a miscommunication. It was a misspeak.
Yeah.
A better way of saying, instead of "you did this," "you did that," "you were mean." The best way of doing it is saying, "Hey, I feel hurt. I feel like my feelings were hurt because I felt really bad about the things you said." Now, most people understand the difference between I statements and you statements. For instance, I felt really sad when the TikTok of you calling me fat blew up.
And I am sorry for that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry it went so well. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't know why you're sorry. Bruh, that was funny.
Brian used to look like this, and we will show a picture.
I love how that's the defense. I come to you and I say, "I felt really bad about this," and your response was, "Well, you looked like that." To be fair, yeah, I've lost quite a lot of weight.
You did, but you were so handsome.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. I love you.
I-
Do you have anything you would like to add about how to make I statements?
I think you covered it, honestly.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you.
And
moving on to the
next question.
Moving right along.
How to do conflict resolution.
How to do conflict resolution?
Yeah.
You yell at the other partner until they stop. And you get your way. That's the best way to resolve conflict.
I believe.
Next question.
I think we need to step back here. Rewind. Okay. Rewind. How to fix conflict resolution.
How to fix conflict.
Go.
I think it depends on the conflict. The best ways, obviously, to resolve any sort of conflict is to do a compromise where both sides win. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's not always realistic. Mm-hmm. But I think that the best way is always compromise. The issue though, is that you can't compromise if your partner doesn't know what you want. And I feel like that is like, I feel like that's the thing that leads to so many conflicts. Like, people will bottle up what they want for so long that it just builds up.
Yeah.
For instance, if every week we wanted to like go out to dinner, and I always wanted like burgers, but Shannon always wants Chipotle, and I like in the back of my mind, if I say, okay, well, she's my wife, happy life, we'll get Chipotle instead. I'll never tell her like how I feel. Like it's small, like it's just like one dinner a week, but at the same time, like stuff like that can build up, and like that's how resentment can form. Because on one hand, you're thinking, oh, it's just dinner. I'll bottle it up. I won't tell her how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
But then after like weeks of that happening, now it's like, oh, well, she's still only wanting her dinner. She's never asking what I want. Obviously, she's starting to just only care about herself. And that's not real. That's not happening right now. It's just an example.
Yeah.
But like, it's a good example of how you're never going to get what you want in a compromise if you don't voice what it is that you want.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, having that conversation of this is where I'm at, and then your partner being like, well, this is where I'm at, and then coming together and trying to figure out the compromise. I think you explained it very well.
Sometimes, unfortunately, once you get into like a weekly dinner is like a small issue. Right. But sometimes when you get into much larger issues, you're going to have to like really figure out a good compromise.
Yeah.
And sometimes one person is going to have to compromise entirely. It's kind of...
But it has to go both ways.
Yeah, exactly. A really big compromise that I can think of right now that we're going through is you completely compromising on me and my running. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I am an avid ultra runner, and right now I'm training for a 100-mile race. And this training involves me running a lot. And I always feel really bad about like Saturdays. Saturdays are my long runs. And every Saturday it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to be away from my wife, away from the house for 4 or 5 hours on a run. And then afterwards, I'm usually like pretty tired. That's usually the day. Once a month, I sleep on the couch because I know I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. to go for a night run. And I feel like this running, this race that I'm training for is something that's really important to me. And so I'm doing all of this stuff, but that's like a compromise that Shannon has been dealing with. And I always feel so bad about it. And I always
don't be bad.
I love you. And I appreciate you so much for like putting up with that.
Oh, well, I'm so proud of you. That's a huge step. And running is such a passion of yours. You know, of course I'm going to support you in it.
And I appreciate the support.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you.
Always.
I love you.
I love you too.
Okay. Are we ready for the next... Wait, is it my turn or your turn?
I think it's my turn.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, don't be. How to avoid misunderstandings.
Ooh.
I feel like we kind of just did that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the answers we've already gone. If you want the answer for this one, just rewind the podcast a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Be open and honest.
Yes.
That's like the main thing.
Talk.
And it's always better to over-talk than under-talk.
Yeah.
Is to like really hammer home what the other what you're feeling to the other person.
Yeah.
How to express your feelings without getting defensive.
How to express your feelings without feeling defensive? Well, you probably need to take a step back before expressing them so that you can find the words that you need, and go through those emotions so that, without your partner there, so that when it does come to that conversation, knowing that you're going to get defensive and already working it out in your mind on, what is important to you in this conversation, and to avoid a huge conflict. Like, think about it from your partner's point of view. Like, knowing them, what do you think they're going to feel about what you have to say? And then from there, just think about it a little bit before, like, speaking out loud, because you never want to say something that is going to hurt your partner in a deep way.
Unless that's the goal.
Yeah, and in that case,
if you got into the point,
maybe check yourself.
Yeah. If you got to the point where you're purposely trying to get digs in at your partner, you need to, like, stop what you're doing.
It's very unhealthy.
Find a new partner. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Toxic.
Toxic. But yeah, I think if you have been with your partner for, like, a bit of time and you know them as a person, you can probably guess what their feelings are going to be on that subject, and think about maybe some points that they'll understand when you do end up having that conversation, so that they don't get defensive when you do have whatever the conversation is going to be.
Yeah. And I think going back to what we said earlier about setting up boundaries is, if you haven't been with your partner for so long, going into the conversation with the mindset of, I'm not trying to be defensive and get defensive, because I'm just trying to lay out my boundaries for this person, and that's something that I'm not willing to compromise on, is my boundaries. And just knowing that, okay, well, if this person wants to be my partner, then they're going to respect my boundaries and understand that, and that this is a team, and no side is trying to purposely offend or defend against the other, that we're a team and we should be working together.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it your turn or is it my turn?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Do you want to get this next one?
Sure.
Okay.
How to express gratitude.
Ooh.
Oh, that kind of goes into the love languages.
I love languages.
Yeah. I know that that's going to be another episode.
We could do an entire episode just about love languages.
Yeah.
And we'll still wouldn't have, like, touched on everything that we could talk about for it.
Yeah.
But how to express gratitude? Well, there's a fantastic book called The 5 Love Languages. Do you know them off the top of your head?
No.
I know there's gift giving.
Yeah.
Acts of service.
Touch.
Physical touch, yeah. Words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And then quality time.
Yeah.
And essentially the idea of the book is those 5 ways of showing your love are, everyone has, like, 1 or 2 of those that they gravitate towards in terms of expressing their love. Mm-hmm. And then they'll have another couple that they have to take in love. Right. So for instance, like when Shannon and I first started dating, one of the things that I really love do. One of the things that I
really love do.
Yeah, one of the things that I really enjoy doing to show gratitude or to show my love is I love like making arts and crafts and like doing stuff like that. Like I wrote letters to Shannon, I made cards for her, I wrote poetry for her. I did a lot of gift giving, and that's because that's like a way that I show my love.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I love getting those stuff as much as I love giving them. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy getting physical touch. And like quality time, like hanging out. Yeah. What are your couple love languages?
Yeah, I do like giving gifts, I would say. I'm a huge gift giver, but physical touch is one for me. And then also having quality time, which I think is really good for both of us, since we both enjoy spending time together. Yeah. And have a lot of the same love languages.
And like something to note too is that it's not like if you meet someone who has different love languages than you, it's not like, oh, well, I shouldn't date them. I need to find someone more compatible. Mm-hmm. It's that you need to realize that person's love languages are a little different, and therefore you need to like tailor how you express your love towards them in better ways. Yeah. So for instance, my mother, I love her. One of the ways that the main way that she loves, that she gets love, that she feels affirmed, is through like words of affirmation. Like telling her that she's doing a good job is going to like mean a lot more to her than just a card that says, hey, you're doing a good job.
And spending time.
Yeah. Oh, she loves spending time.
She loves spending time.
Which is why I moved away from her.
Cindy, if you're listening to this, we love you.
We love you. But no, like the 5 Love Languages is like a really great book and really interesting. And it's a great way to like figure out how best to interact with not just your partner, but also anyone in your family or friends and acquaintances. Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How many? We have one.
Do we have one more?
We could do it together.
Okay. How to bring the sensitive topics.
How to bring up sensitive topics. This is a touchy subject.
That is it. For most people.
For most people.
Yeah. Between the audience, Brian and I, we just bring them up. We're just gonna be like, okay, we got something serious to talk about, and then we talk about it.
Okay, we got to talk about this drama going on in the family.
But for a lot of people, that's not the same. They don't have the same style.
I think a really good way of like bringing up a sensitive topic is to really overstate. You can't overstate your actual feelings and intentions. So for instance, as an example, if you're bringing up a negative interaction with your partner's family members, a really good way of saying is like, hey, listen, I love you, babe. I love you, and I'm here for you and your family. However, I'm a little upsetty spaghetti at a couple of your cousins.
That's real.
Why would I be upsetty spaghetti at your cousins?
There were some family members that didn't come to our wedding.
Not just didn't come. Didn't call. Didn't give a card. Didn't RSVP.
Yeah.
I love you and all of your family.
Yeah, me too.
You and I, our families are together. We are one now.
We are one. We have the same last name.
We do.
It's official. No, it was upsetting, but at the same time, we were like, you know what? The people who want to be there and want to be supportive are going to be there. And that's what matters. And so whether or not it did hurt our feelings and made us upset, we just kind of talked about it and then decided we wouldn't let it upset us and let it ruin our day because they weren't going to be there.
Yeah.
And that we were going to appreciate the people who did decide to come. And we had the most incredible wedding.
I think we had the greatest wedding in the world.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
I think another thing to think about too is that, like, if someone is coming to you with a sensitive topic, it's important to remember that that doesn't change the way that they feel about you.
Yeah.
When Shannon came to me when we first moved in together and told me, Brian, you need to get your ass in gear and become a much cleaner person. You need to clean up after your shit, Brian. When she said that to me, I realized, okay, she loves me so much and she wants to live with me so much that she's coming to me and telling me that I need to change my standards.
I said it in a nice way.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to it. Like, she said it in a much nicer way. But the way I heard it was that I need to get my ass in gear.
Look. Okay, look. You weren't clean.
I am.
You weren't clean, and that is important to me. And I wasn't gonna let things be sprawled everywhere. We were gonna be clean.
I just want to clarify. I am, in general, a very clean person. Like, I am clean, and I'm a lot cleaner than a lot of other guys that I know. However, I wasn't up to Shannon's standards. But I am now, right?
You are.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah. I mean, when we talk about clean, I'm not meaning like he was unclean. I'm talking about like cleaning up with things on the like clothes on the floor when the hamper is right there.
To be fair, it's not like I'm throwing a shirt in the middle of the ground. I throw it at the hamper, and sometimes I missed. And so it would be on the floor, but it would be right next to the hamper.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing about compromise and communication, you know?
Yeah.
She told me what she wanted, and I was either going to do it or I wasn't.
Yeah. Either that you were gonna you were gonna do it or you were gonna continue to get pestered about it.
I think that's the key to any communication, though.
Yeah.
Pestering.
Look.
Saying something nice the first time and then start pestering once until the message gets sent.
Until the message gets sent.
I didn't need a whole lot of pestering for that message to get into my head, though.
No. Well, you knew I was already like that. Cleanliness was important to me.
Yeah, and I get that.
Yeah.
All right. We
did it.
are all done with the relationship advice. Which
Yes.
brings us to the next segment of the podcast, which is a load of BS. Shannon, what was a load of BS this week?
This weather. Okay.
Oh my God.
This weather. So we are in the Bay Area, and there are a lot of floods going throughout California. And it started raining a couple of months ago, and it hasn't stopped. And and for the first time, I think, in months, it actually was sunny for like a day, and then it's pouring, and then our power went out.
It was sunny for like 2 days, and then yesterday was like half sunny.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, for those of you who don't know, just to put it into context, on my way to work, I always listen to NPR. And we were in NPR this last week.
Yeah.
Because California is hit with their 11th atmospheric river. 150,000 PG&E users in the Bay Area lost power over the last couple of weeks. Pajaro River, the levees broke, and there are 2,000 people who had to evacuate their homes and are still out of their homes because of the flooding.
Yeah.
Capitola is like devastated from the January floods. They still haven't recovered from like the January storms. And like it just
The president even came because of how bad it had gotten.
Uncle Joey Biden came over to Santa Cruz County to like say, hey, shit's fucked.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well, because like it feels like it's never ending.
Yeah.
I saw a meme today, and I showed it to you, of like Californians right now, and then the clip was the scene from Forrest Gump, where he's like, it just started raining one day, and then it didn't stop
for 4 months.
And that's literally what we're dealing with. Like, it's been the rainy season since November.
Yeah.
And
we loved it for the first week. and then it kept going, and then we thought, wow, well, this is cool. Our drought is over with. And then, it could stop now. And then it didn't.
Kept going.
And then it didn't. And so here we are. And it's bullshit.
It is. It's absolute BS.
Tell me your load of BS, babe.
Well, you stole mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fellas, do you know what's a load of BS? Don't you hate it when your wife steals the thing that you were going to vent about? That's you. You stole it. No, it's like...
Oops.
The last couple of days, it actually was like sunny and bright, and it was so nice.
Yeah.
And now it's just like back to raining, and we're back to like the atmospheric rivers.
It's going to be really nice, though, when it starts being sunny all the time. And hopefully it'll be good for the spring and summer, the rest of spring.
Yeah. It'll be nice and green, all of our forests. I have another load of BS, and this is a really great segue to consumption corner.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's a load of BS. Gilderoy Lockhart is a load of BS. This motherfucker is such a bullshit. On my long run yesterday, I just got to the part in Chamber of Secrets where Harry gets literally launched off his broom with a broken arm, and he's sitting there like literally passed out, and he's like coming to, and Gilderoy's like, Harry, let me help you. This is a simple charm. And Harry's like, no.
Like, don't touch it.
Literally anyone but you. Please don't.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know what he's talking about. Let me help you. And then his entire arm, boneless. And then afterwards, Hermione's still sticking up for the guy.
I know. She's still got a crush. So Brian, for the first time, shame about J.K. Rowling. Just saying. But she did create a great world with Harry Potter. And Brian saw the movies for the first time. We had a little marathon. And then now he's reading the books for the first time. And so he's meeting all of the characters. And I've never seen him so upset with a character from a book before.
It's so funny because, like, not the botanist, but you know what I'm talking about. Like the botany, like the plant professor, Hagrid, Snape, like all of the professors, like are so done with Gilderoy. Yeah. And even the students are like done with his bullshit. Yeah. And in like the classes, Gilderoy's like homework is like, okay, everyone, I want you to make a poem about me and my adventures with the werewolves. And it's like,
and then detention is signing autographs.
It's so funny.
In his fan mail.
Yeah. When I say we binged Harry Potter, what I mean is we saw
like binged, hardcore binged
all 8 movies in a span of 4 days. Between Friday and Monday, we saw all 8 films.
We did.
It was fun.
We went hardcore.
Well, we had to make up for lost time.
We did.
So for those of you who haven't seen last week's episode, I grew up in a household where like Harry Potter was strictly forbidden because it was devil, black magic, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm coming to find out it's actually just a kid's book. So
yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
So I introduced him to that world, and he loves it.
I do. I love it.
Yeah.
That is one thing I've been consuming in Consumption Corner.
Consumption.
What is something that you have been consuming this last week?
Well, my brother is an artist. Chris Humans. Look him up. So good. I have been listening to his new single, Draw the Line, and it's fantastic. And on my runs, I've just been listening to all of his songs on repeat. And so, super into that right now. Check him out. Chris Humans on Spotify.
He's got like the perfect upbeat punk or like club kind of dance, you know?
Yeah.
He's definitely like that.
Yeah. More pop.
Another thing that the both of us have been consuming, we consumed the best, in my opinion, the best chicken sandwich ever yesterday.
You did.
Mad Yolks.
Mad Yolks.
Downtown Santa Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Great spot.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we saw a movie.
We did. We saw the new Shazam movie. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think it was cute. I'll put it that way. Zachary Levi is so hot.
Zachary Levi is really hot. Is it Levi or Levy?
Levi? Levy? I don't know.
Levi.
But Zachary, if you're listening to this, call me.
I feel like it was a fun movie. It does one of the things that I really don't like in hero movies, and a lot of hero movies do this, where it's like in the middle of action where they're fighting, they'll just stop, and like the hero will like say something funny or witty or some sort of banter.
Yeah.
And then they'll just say that for like a minute, and like the villain will just be sitting there patiently waiting and listening, and it's like, bro,
Yeah.
this is your time to shine. If you're a villain, like, hit them or do something. Don't just sit there and like politely listen to the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a lot of that, and it felt like misplaced for a hero movie in 2023.
Yeah. 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 I would agree with that. Also, we've been consuming a lot of Gordon Ramsay's Hotel Hell, and we're huge fans of Gordon. So
Gordon is a comfort food.
Yes.
I love Gordon Ramsay.
I think that's a really great way to say it.
I think I've seen every single Kitchen Nightmare and every single Hotel Hell, and like I've seen most of the 24 Hours to Hell and Back.
Yeah.
And we've seen several seasons of MasterChef.
MasterChef. Yeah. MasterChef. Oh gosh. I don't know. I feel like we've seen at least an episode of every one of his shows, but then also like done full on like binged seasons of multiple of his different TV shows. But Hotel Hell, I'm kind of bummed that it was only 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Because I really liked that one.
I feel like I can understand why it felt like it wasn't probably making as much, getting as much viewership than the other ones.
That's true.
And I'm sure that like from a production standpoint, it's probably a lot more extensive going into a hotel, renovating the rooms and the kitchen and like the lobby.
Yeah.
As opposed to like just going into a normal restaurant and renovating that.
That's true.
So, yeah, I'd like to see more Hotel Hell, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I get it. It's from a production standpoint, I'd rather see more episodes of something else rather than one episode of Hotel Hell.
That's true.
That and Hoarders.
Hoarders.
Hoarders is one of those like popcorn shows you could just put on, turn your brain off, and just be like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Why?
When they say that it's like a mental disorder, they're not joking.
No.
Because some of the stuff that the people don't want to get rid of is just like, bro, that has mold on it. What are you doing?
That is a rusty old can of food that has mold growing in it.
Oh, the 7-Up bottle that was like unopened and it expired 4 years prior. And
do you know how long you have to have like a 7-Up bottle for it to expire?
he was like, we give it to the dogs.
The animals love it.
And then the psychiatrist is like, you're giving that to dogs and animals? He's like, yeah.
To be fair, and we had to look it up too, but to be fair, soda itself really doesn't expire.
Yeah.
It can lose its flavor, it can lose its carbonation, but the issue is drinking something out of a plastic bottle that's been inside the plastic bottle for so long. That can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Because like those chemicals seep into whatever liquid it is after like 2 years, and that's not good.
Not great.
So you're talking like the 2 years that it's expired, and then 4 more years. I don't think that's good for. Just throw it out.
Yeah.
Just throw it out. Some people are so silly.
Yeah. But that's what we've been consuming.
That is something that we've been consuming.
What have you been consuming?
I don't know. Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
Please. I feel like this was a really good episode.
I think so too.
Are you ready to call it a wrap?
Let's do it.
Okay. Thank you all for watching. If you like this, please drop a like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions you want to see in any of the future episodes coming up.
Also, if you have any worst first dates or first date stories, go ahead, shoot them over to us. We'd love to read them.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching. My name is Shannon Humans.
And I am Brian Humans.
And together we make
a load of BS.